So this video's about the Mini and what apps you're going to want or need. And first of all, we're going to look at the DJI Fly app and just go through all the menus on that. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. So let's do that first. Okay, so let's crack on with that. Right, this is a quick look at the DJI app. So we've got the safety. Okay, tap the three little bars on the top right. So we've got our safety. Okay, we've got control, we've got camera, transmission, and about. Okay, so the first things as we scroll down is max altitude, max distance. Okay, and then we've got our auto return to home height. Okay, set that to the highest thing around so you'll clear it. Okay, very important. Okay, and you can update your home point at any point by just clicking here. Okay, just be aware of that. Okay, but be careful with updating your home point as well. It can go wrong. Now as we scroll down, we come down to sensors. So we've got our compass. If it's good, you don't need to calibrate. Okay, it will tell you if you need to calibrate. You do not have to do it every site. AMU, again, it will tell you if you need to calibrate. It's not something you have to do every time. Then there's the battery info, so select that, see how many times your battery has been charged, any issues with your batteries, okay, and check battery voltage. Unlocking geozones, that's done here. Please note, submitting your telephone number and getting a response from DJI to unlock a zone is not air traffic controller's permission. Okay, that is a very, very different thing. You know, first you get ATC's permission and then you unlock your geozone. Okay. Now, these are the advanced safety settings. So if your signal is lost, return to home is typical, and then you've got descend and hover as options as well, okay, if you want them. You also have the emergency stop system, which is you pull the sticks to the center or away. Okay, very important, that is for emergency only. It will shut down your aircraft in flight. There is also a payload mode option if you are flying with propeller guards inside. Then read carefully and turn it on if required. Okay. Who knew our minis would give us away? Look at this, remote ID. That's your unique ID. Do you want it switched on for your drone? Your identification of flight information. Do you want it transmitting? Turn these off. Okay. And then we've got your ID, operator ID or whatever. At the moment it's wrong anyway. It's going to need an adjustment because it's only good for 10 characters. We need about 14 for the UK. Okay. And then there's even the flight information as well, so you can put something in. Okay. But your operator ID will go there, for example. Okay, where the error is. And yeah, people can see this. And then your flight information, your distance, where you've flown to and from, where you are, how high you are. Anyone with an aeroscope is going to be able to see this, okay? And I would suspect other apps will become available that will also allow them to see what's going on. Make sure all this is turned off. Right, so this is the control menu, okay? And this is how you can turn the phone charging on and off, especially for Android devices. Okay, so that's what you want to be flicking that switch just there, on or off. Okay, then you've got your stick mode. If you don't like mode 2, which is the typical mode they all come in, you can change it and alter it to one that might suit you, especially if you're a big gamer, use a PlayStation or anything. You can change the stick mode. Go into that and it will explain what does what for you. Okay, and then you can change a couple of buttons on what they will do, like turning off crosshairs, turning off the grids, or whatever you want to do. Okay, so they can do all that for you. And then just below that we will have RC calibration. So when your transmitter is just beeping at you for no apparent reason, okay, and it's connected to the drone, okay, calibrate it and it should stop it from beeping. Okay, and then just below that we have the flight tutorial if you need it. Okay. Right, so this is the cameras options. Okay, so we've got our photos and then our format. So we just want JPEGs or JPEG and RAW. Okay, I've got it just on JPEG because I've been doing quite a lot of inspection recently. Okay, and then below that we have the size of the image we want to take, either a 4:3 or a 16:9. Use a 4:3 if you want to do a 360 pano. Okay, use the 4:3 for 360 panos. Okay, that's what I recommend. Otherwise, you find your panos aren't quite right. Okay, so then we have the histogram. If you use that, okay, I don't use it. As you can see, it's switched off. I also have the overexposure warning turned off, and as you can see, I do have just below that. There's the grid lines. So the grid lines, you can see them there. Actually, you can see them all on my screen. Okay, I typically have that one set up with the crosses and everything, but you can see them there. Those are the grid lines. Just allows me to line up shots. Okay, and I do recommend that. And then finally, below that, you can't actually see it in this menu, but just below is formatting the SD card itself. So just scroll down a bit and you can then format your SD card. Right, so this is the transmission, okay, menu. And here we can see we can choose the frequency, so you can go 2.4, 5.8, or you can go dual. Okay, so mine's on dual and mine's on auto. You can choose just to put it on 2.4 or 5.8, and you clearly see it showing us what's available and what's free. There's not a lot of noise, and it's showing that I've got a good transmission there. So I'm just going to leave mine on that. I let mine do all the sorting out of the channels. It's far better in my eyes, but that's just my opinion. Okay, but it's up to you if you choose 2.4 or 5.8. Okay, and that's the transmission one. Right then, so that's the DJI Fly app. I found it interesting about the fact that the Mini is already transmitting our information. Now, if I remember correctly, that's switched on from the outset. So just go into the app and double check. So just click on the first one, scroll all the way down to the bottom and check and see if it's giving away your location, okay, and transmitting its data. All it's going to do is make it stand out to anyone that's got an aeroscope, so police forces who have aeroscopes that can receive that information, right? It's going to make you stand out to that kind of system more, okay? I'm half expecting an app to appear from DJI, and then you'll appear on these apps everywhere. So just bear that in mind, and bear in mind that if you change your output to FCC mode, you're going to stand out to that system a lot easier than you are if you don't. So let's say that there's me and someone else flying in the same area and they're pumping out on the high power, right? They're the ones that's going to stand out, okay, more than I am. So, you know, just think about it if you are going to change your output because you want to fly 2 or 4 kilometers or any of that kind of stuff. Just think before you do it. Okay, so you've got your DJI Fly app. What's the next app you should have? Because you've got to have the app to control the drone. So that is number 1 to you. Well, the second app you want, there's actually, you've got a choice here of 2 apps. Okay, you can either have Nat's Drone Assist. Okay, so Nat's Drone Assist, or you can have Guardian by Altitude Angel. Okay, either one of these is good enough, and both of them provide the same kind of information basically on airspace, because it is important that we check our airspace before we fly. So that is like the number 2 of the apps you're going to have. So number 1 is the DJI Fly, because you can't fly a drone without it, but smack under that, with that you need to be able to check your airspace. Okay, and that, just making sure you're not inside a flight restriction zone or restricted airspace, any of that kind of stuff. And if you are in a flight restriction zone and you do want to fly, call the airfield, the airport, whatever. Make sure before you call anyone though, just write down the postcode for where you are, or go into your phone and look at your location, get your map grid coordinates, okay? And then from there, write down what you need, right? Phone them and see what they need. Because sometimes they go, no, we want an email. No, we want this information. No, we want that information. We want a full risk assessment. Oh, for God's sake. you know, some of them will go OTT, some won't. Some will go to the NATS Aero portal. They'll just go to the NATS portal, please, and request your flight there. So you just got to do these checks. Okay, so they're the next two. So it's either NATS Drone Assist or Guardian by Altitude Angel. Okay, there's your two apps. You can log your flights on those apps, but to be honest, I wouldn't. You don't need to. You do not. It's not a requirement. Okay. So yeah, those two apps are great. Now, what do you want after that? Well, after that, you've got a bit of choice. Okay. So your choices are after the airspace checks. Your choices then become, what do you want next? Right. Well, really, you want a weather app. Now, there's two kind of choices here. One, you can go for UAV forecast. Now, UAV forecast, it isn't too bad, but it only gives you the next day's weather forecast. Okay, and when you set UAV forecast up, you'll put your settings in that your drone can fly to. Anyway, so you put your max wind speeds in there. You put everything else you need to into it. See the video. Okay, so set that up. However, either use UAV forecast or get a weather app. Okay, and the Met Office is good. Okay, you can use rain today if you need to know if you're trying to dodge showers and stuff. But your next set of your next app, your third app or your third lot of apps should be weather apps. Okay, because you've checked. So basically, you've got the one that you can fly your drone with, DJI Fly. We've now got our airspace checks. That's great. So we know we can fly where we are legally. And then it comes down to the weather. Can you or can you not fly? I would say make sure that you understand, okay, what wind speed your aircraft can cope with. It's quite clear that even people were flying today going, oh, it was too windy. Well, quite clearly it was too windy, yet they still went out, tried to fly the drone, and it got blown away. And they get a damaged drone and they cry about it. And why didn't you just look at the weather? Why didn't you do your basics? Okay, just check the weather. Okay, right, so yeah, those are the apps that you need. Really, you don't need anything else, you know, as long as you've got DJI Fly, because you need that regardless. You've got to have your airspace checks. You've got to have some sort of weather app, be it UAV forecast or the Met Office app. I mean, I use the Met Office. I know, okay, that I will not fly anything over 20 miles per hour, for example. And I just look at it. If it says there's a gust some more, generally I won't fly because it's not worth it. Okay. Just if you spend too long doing something or really enjoying it and you suddenly realise that you can't get the drone back, you lose a drone. And I've already seen today on Facebook, you know, about 4 go missing. And that's just because people aren't using what I would consider common sense. You know, look at what the drone can do, then set your limits accordingly. Okay. So my Phantom 4 Pro, I won't go at 20 miles per hour, that's it. The Mini is just under that, that's it. So that's the way it is, okay. Other than that, you know, the rest is up to you. You know, people go, what about Litchi? Well, Litchi at the minute doesn't support the Mini 2. I have Litchi for the Phantom 4 Pro. It does have some rather nice features. It does do some stuff really well. So I do like it for some things, but I don't use it with the Mini at all. Not the Mini 2 at all. It's only used with the 4 Pro. And then, what else have we got? There's not really, until the API is released, there's the Mini 2 for now is kind of limited. People are going, oh, it's got no follow me. Well, that's right. If you read the manual, you wouldn't know that it didn't have follow me mode. And remember, follow me mode doesn't mean that it can see a tree. The Mini has no anti-collision system. If there's a tree there, it will hit it. So yeah, anyway, hopefully that's a little bit of a guide on the apps you need to fly your Mini safely. And it doesn't include registration, so your operator ID or your flyer ID in this video. It's assumed that you've gone and you've done those 2 things. If not, see that video. Okay. Right, take care everyone. Have a good one. Fly safe.